Luo Feng was puzzled within. Didn't the Primal Chaos City teacher tell him to meet him after 10 battles? Right now he had only battled 2 battles, why did the teacher personally come? And the Primal Chaos City leader wasn't that impatient, the long years had made him extremely patient. You want to create the second form? The Primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng. Yes. Luo Feng said respectfully, your disciple feels that the first form of the Bright Moon Plan and the 10,000 star diagram are still not enough, hence I want to create the second form. You want to create both of them? The Primal Chaos City leader continued. Yes. Luo Feng didn't hesitate at all. The Primal Chaos City leader creased his eyebrows, saying solemnly, have you battled in the past few days? I've battled twice, the first was a lucky win, the second was a loss. Luo Feng said. What have you learned? The Primal Chaos City leader asked. Your disciple has learned from these 2 battles, one's own strength and treasures are both very important. Luo Feng said respectfully, if one's strength isn't enough, then even with treasures, one won't be able to unleash their full power. And if one doesn't have treasures, then against an opponent of the same level, one will be at a huge disadvantage. My treasures are still alright, but my own strength can still improve a little. Within the vast space of the training grounds, Luo Feng and the Primal Chaos City leader stood in space, one asking and one answering. The battles in reality, don't tell me you don't feel, walking the spirit reader path is a waste of time? The Primal Chaos City leader said solemnly, his voice rumbling, immediately shaking Luo Feng's soul. However, Luo Feng's willpower was extremely strong. Waste of time? Luo Feng shook his head. No, your disciple actually feels that my strength has increased greatly, it's very suitable for this path. What a joke, he had a spirit reader treasure star map that was specially used for attacking. Even if he created his own techniques, it would still be hard for him to beat an emperor-level warrior. However, with the star map he would be able to suppress the Thunder Emperor. The Primal Chaos City leader couldn't help but shake his head as he heard. Give up. Give up on the spirit reader path and focus on the fighter path. The Primal Chaos City leader sighed. Luo Feng was shocked as he looked at the Primal Chaos City leader. After being under his tutelage for so long, the city leader had always guided him. Why? Luo Feng couldn't help but ask. My willpower is extremely strong, and I've also received the demon node inheritance. On the path of a spirit reader, you can definitely walk very far. But on the path of a warrior, you can walk even further. The Primal Chaos City Master said. Please speak, teacher. Luo Feng bowed. The Primal Chaos City leader looked at the disciple before him. He was very clear that with Luo Feng's temperament and willpower, it was impossible to make him give up with just one sentence. Then I'll tell you. The Primal Chaos City leader said solemnly, firstly, you are a black warrior. Secondly, you cultivate the beast god Dao. Luo Feng listened carefully. The black warrior has already become a legend in the Blood River continent. The Primal Chaos City Master sighed. As long as you are able to become a black warrior, it means that your genes are extremely compatible with the beast god's bloodline. Then in the future, using the beast god's blood, the amount of genes you can raise will be even more shocking. Genes are the foundation. With a foundation that is 10 times, 100 times, or even 1,000 times stronger, how can we fight? And the beast gods that died in Blood River continent were all close combat experts. You must remember, any spirit reader that walks the path of the beast god will never be able to reach the peak. The Primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng was stunned. Never be able to reach the peak? To reach the peak, a being comparable to the beast god. That has to be a fighter. The Primal Chaos City leader said, you are a black warrior. Naturally you have an incomparably rare body, training in the beast god path so quickly, obviously your comprehension and talent is extremely high. With so many talents, how can you let them down? If you walk the path of a fighter, you have hopes of becoming a universe lord in the future. Even though this path is extremely difficult, you will definitely succeed. If you blindly train and want to become a universe lord, the chances are extremely low. Luo Feng stood there, silent. Some of the weaker races in the universe don't even know this secret. Some train in the beast god path and still walk the spirit reader path. What a joke, they are destined to never succeed. Look at that Hiroto. Finally stuck at the last step, unable to take it. The Primal Chaos City leader looked at Luo Feng. Think about it well, once you're done, tell me your answer. After which, the Primal Chaos City leader turned and stood there silently. Luo Feng too was silent. I have to walk the path of a fighter to have hopes of becoming a being comparable to the beast god. Luo Feng thought, Black Warrior, it means that my genes and the beast god bloodline are extremely compatible? Right, I've trained in the 9-level secret manual, my genes have evolved a few times, far exceeding the normal human bloodline, that's why I was able to absorb 10 crystals. What should I choose? One path was chosen by the Primal Chaos City teacher. A fighter, walking the path of the beast god, in the future I have a chance of becoming a being comparable to the beast god. That's a universe lord. One path was chosen by teacher Mountain Passenger. Spirit reader, training in the 9-level secret manual, as for what techniques I create, he doesn't care about me at all I have to do is wait until I'm strong enough to control the Star Tower. Mountain Passenger's 2 disciples are both universe lords, I believe this path has a higher chance of becoming a universe lord, and there's also one of the most powerful treasures, the Star Tower. What do I choose? Many scenes flashed through LuoFeng's mind. Haha, what's there to worry about? Since these 2 paths have hopes of becoming a universe lord, Then I'll walk both paths. LuoFeng's eyes gleamed. I'm different from Bolin. Bolin split his attention between two origin laws. And I'm also researching the beast god path. Only one is a fighter's path and the other is a spirit reader's path. Training both at the same time, it'll help me research the beast god path. Luo Feng thought. In the vast space, the Primal Chaos City Leader's back faced Luo Feng, standing in space for a while. Teacher. Luo Feng said respectfully. Have you decided? The Primal Chaos City Leader's voice was calm. I've decided. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Your disciple has decided to train both the fighter and spirit path. If I'm really wrong in the future, I'll give up on one. Since you've already decided, I won't say any more. I'll see how far you can go as a fighter and spirit reader. The Primal Chaos City Leader turned and looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng too looked at his teacher. Their gazes met. Luo Feng didn't show any signs of fear. Very good. The Primal Chaos City Leader nodded. It's fine if I'm wrong, but I have to stick to my heart and focus. Understood. Luo Feng nodded. Then continue creating your absolute arts. I'll target your weaknesses and arrange for opponents for you. The Primal Chaos City Leader finished and vanished. Luo Feng couldn't help but kneel down. Thank you, teacher. This kneel was from the bottom of his heart. Even though he had gone against him, the Primal Chaos City Leader still encouraged and supported him. And when he created his own arts, the Primal Chaos City Leader even went to great lengths to arrange for opponents. This was actually a very taxing task. Maybe the Primal Chaos City Leader's teacher valued and nurtured him because of his race. But no matter what, the Primal Chaos City Leader had treated him well. Kindness, he had to remember it. With the ability, with the opportunity, he would definitely repay it. Let's begin. LuoFeng's body shook and vanished. In mid-air a majestic golden horned beast appeared. Following his old path, he first created the Bright Moon strategy, then the 10,000 star diagram. In a distant desolate area of the universe, within the Wuhua secret region's ice prison star belt, ice prison. Luo Feng first broke the death god's finger from one of the 5 Leviathan's silver eye, after which he withstood the silver eye and finally escaped. This news naturally began to spread within the ice prison. However, the ice prison didn't have any advanced communication methods. Even Luo Feng's large scanning device was affected by the ice prison's interference. One could understand. Setting up an internal virtual world wasn't practical at all. Communication lagged behind. And the strong often had enmity with each other, even killing each other the moment they met. Only good friends or those with similar strength would occasionally gather. Hence the speed at which this news spread was extremely slow. Even after half a year, not even a third of the strong in the ice prison knew of this news. In the southern ice prison, in the middle of the endless snow, there was a towering palace. Pieces of ice were inserted around the palace. These pieces of ice were randomly inserted around the palace. Each piece of ice was engraved with demon clan characters. Clearly it was the ranking of the ice prison. This palace undoubtedly housed a very special being within the ice prison. Skywolf. Skywolf, one of the 5 Leviathans. At the same time, he was also the one who compiled the rankings, and he was also the one with the best temper in the entire prison of ice. It was said that the heavenly wolf of the demon race's royal family was extremely savage, but this heavenly wolf, one of the big shots, rarely killed. His good temper was something that had been publicly acknowledged for a long time. However, if one angered him, he would still kill. After all, to be able to be ranked as one of the 5 Leviathans, he relied on a few shocking battles in the ice prison to get there. Master, looks like the rankings are going to change again. There's a new battle? On the palace's incomparably huge throne made of ice, sat a 10 kilometers long demon that was like a mountain range. Its entire body was covered in snow-white fur. The tips of it, however, had a tinge of gold, causing its entire body to be enveloped in a layer of gold light. On its forehead were 3 peculiar engravings, almost like 3 blade scars. He was Skywolf. Yes, it's a battle between the human and Thunder Emperor, and the human and Silver Eye. 5 servants stood in front of the hall. These 5 servants were all armored monsters, and they were only at the Marquis realm. They had been brought here when Tianlang had been imprisoned. Human. The majestic Sky Wolf on the throne suddenly raised its head, its green eyes glowing fiercely as it looked down. Where is the human? Hurry and find that human, hurry. Master, this battle has been going on for more than half a year. The 5 servants were stunned. More than half a year? Sky Wolf let out a series of angry growls. Back then, when the human had just appeared in the ice prison, Silver Eye and the others had openly searched for the human, and Sky Wolf had also secretly sent his subordinates to search for the human. However, after a long time, they had not been able to find the human and had given up. Sky Wolf did not expect to finally receive news of the human this time, but it was news from more than half a year ago. This cannot go on. Sky Wolf suddenly stood up, its 4 hooves on the throne, and a boundless aura emanated, scaring the 5 servants so much that they knelt down. The 5 servants knelt before the throne, not daring to make a sound. Sirius, who was standing on the huge throne, had a ferocious glint in his green eyes. Even if this human appears again by the time I receive the news and go to look for him, I'm afraid that this human will disappear again. Sirius immediately realized this and quickly made a decision. Prepare the ice, Sirius said in a low voice. Yes, master. The 5 kneeling servants responded in unison. The leader of the group immediately flipped his hand and respectfully placed a large, well-carved block of ice on the ground. Sirius walked down from the throne and strolled up to the block of ice. Tell me about this human's battle with the Lightning Monarch and Silver Eye, Sirius said. Yes, master. This human first fought with the Lightning Monarch, and after a few exchanges the Lightning Monarch was actually suppressed by the human. Moreover, the human's speed was terrifying and he couldn't escape. He was forced to ignite his divine body. After igniting his divine body, the Lightning Monarch still couldn't match the human's speed. The 5 servants narrated the information one after another. Although it was rather brief, they had already gotten to the point. Sirius lowered his head and looked at the block of ice. Crackle, crackle, crackle. Demonic characters appeared out of thin air on the block of ice, and the rankings were quickly determined. Rank 1, Blood Mantis. Rank 2, Sirius. Rank 3, Sirius. Rank 4, Black Wind. Rank 5, Serpentine. Rank 6, Human. Many of the 6 experts were named according to their race or clan. For example, Serpentine and Human were clan names, and Sirius was also a clan name. As for Blood Mantis, Silver Eye, Black Wind, they were also named according to their appearances in the icy prison. This naming method was very common because there was only one Serpentine Dark in the icy prison, and only one human. The ranking of the experts in the ice prison was quickly determined. Every expert was accompanied by some information and introduction. There were more than 800 experts, which almost filled the entire ice block. Only the top of the ice block was left empty. Seeing this, the 5 servants were secretly puzzled. They secretly transmitted to each other, previously, Master carved the rankings from the top of the block of ice. Why is it different this time? That's right. Master has carved the rankings countless times, but I've never seen Master do this. In their discussion, at the top of the ice block, a series of demon race words began to appear. I swear that I will protect any expert who brings humans to my Sirius wolf tribe forever. If I see this human, I will definitely not kill him. This oath shall be witnessed by all the experts in the entire ice purgatory through this ranking ice tablet. All right. Sirius raised his head. Make 900 copies of the ranking ice steel and send them to the mountain peak. Yes, master, the 5 servants replied respectfully. They swiftly copied the carvings with their undying spirit methods. Naturally, they produced 900 ice tablets. Following which one of them brought these ice tablets and flew out of the palace, heading towards a mountain peak near the ice ocean. That was where the rankings were determined. Battles were forbidden there. This was something all the experts knew. The ranking ice steel was silently taken away by the powerhouses who passed by. Naturally, the news of the Sky Wolf tribe's bounty spread throughout the ice prison. The protection of Sirius? If I can obtain the protection of Sirius as long as Sirius doesn't die, who can kill me? Sirius won't break his oath, right? How can that be? Sirius used the ranking ice steel to announce it to the entire ice prison. All the warriors know. How could he break his oath for us weaklings and not care about his face? And Sirius has always been very proud. He doesn't even bother to act against us weaklings. His good temper is famous. Hurry and find the human. Right, find the human. In the entire ice prison, other than the top 10 warriors, which one of the others didn't live in fear? Even White Bone Emperor and Thunder Emperor were afraid of meeting the 5 tycoons, much less the other imprisoned warriors. Even though they were weak, their numbers made up over 90% of the ice prison warriors. To find Luo Feng, naturally they would go crazy. However, Luo Feng's base was hidden deep within the snowland, with a mini-scanning device. Even if the other warriors reached the entrance, their naked eyes and god energy wouldn't be able to find him. Unless they attacked and destroyed the base, forcing Luo Feng to come out. The craze to find the human lasted for a few hundred years. Gradually the madness began to subside. However, there were still a few weaker emperors who would go search for him because the moment they found him, it meant they could live a stable life. Within a vast god country in the endless ocean, there were many islands. On one of the islands, black-clothed Luo Feng sat crossed-legged on the beach of the island, looking at the waves crashing and retreating time and time again. As for the golden horned beast, it was in its internal world copying the beast god statue. In the blink of an eye, 1,000 years have passed. My beast god conception has already reached the 20th level of the heavenly bridge 1,000 years ago. I originally thought it would be very difficult to improve further. However, I didn't expect that even though my progress was slow, it never stopped and has been slowly improving. Black-clothed Luo Feng smiled. However, the difference between the 20th and 21st level is too huge. I'm afraid I'll have to spend 10 times the time of the 19th to 20th. The beast god conception relied on copying the large and small beast god statues to form. Of course, Luo Feng's fusion origin law comprehension was very important too. Without that comprehension, just copying would be hard to achieve much. The origin law comprehension was the tree's roots and trunk. The conception was the tree's branches and leaves. Only when the roots were deep enough and the trunk was thick and tall enough, could the leaves grow taller and more luxuriant. This was a mutually reinforcing process. With origin law comprehension as the foundation, one could comprehend and grasp higher levels of conception. The higher the conception, it would also have an effect on one's origin law comprehension. Time passed. The golden horned beast fully focused on studying the 7 transformations of the god, copying the statues and comprehending the beast god conception. Luo Feng's earth body was studying the bright moon strategy and the 10,000 Star Dao Map. With the Primal Chaos City Leader providing opponents that targeted the weaknesses of Luo Feng's techniques, Luo Feng's techniques were constantly perfected, improving extremely quickly. He could use the second part of the tendon part as the foundation to create his attacks. Just the usage of the origin laws alone was already extremely complicated. Luo Feng spent a total of 1,600 years to successfully create the second part of the Bright Moon strategy. Blade techniques, killing Wu wings that could all be unleashed. With one slash, it was like a huge blade slicing through the sky, its power endless, destroying everything in its path. Tyrannical beyond compare. However, when Luo Feng switched to researching the second form of the 10,000 star Dao layout diagram, he suffered. According to the experience of creating the first form, Luo Feng believed that he could create the second form of the 10,000 star Dao layout diagram within a tenth of the time of creating the second form of the Bright Moon strategy, since he already had the experience. However, the actual process exceeded Luo Feng's imagination. The first part uses the first part as the foundation, it's much simpler. The second part uses the second part as the foundation, however it's much more complicated. Creating the Bright Moon strategy and the 10,000 star Dao map, they both became much more complicated. Hence the experience from creating the second part of the Bright Moon strategy is much weaker. Luo Feng found it troublesome, close combat techniques and spirit weapon techniques had a fundamental difference. It was a completely different battle direction. As the technique became more complicated, the difference between the two would become greater. The research experience would become less and less useful. Luo Feng spent a total of 500 years to create the second part of the 10,000 star Dao map. That was a full 3/10 of the time for the second part of the Bright Moon strategy, much more than the 1/10 he expected. Virtual Universe Lightning Island, at the highest point of the endless energy currents in the palace. Luo Feng stepped through the door of the palace. Walking within the palace, he stopped halfway and said respectfully, "Teacher, your disciple has successfully created his technique, please give me some pointers." "You've realized right." A voice resounded from within the endless energy currents. "I've realized." Luo Feng said respectfully, "Your disciple originally thought that with the experience of studying the origin laws and creating close combat techniques, it would be much easier to create the spirit weapon technique. In truth, it's indeed much easier, however it's far from as easy as I thought. What you've created is an absolute technique. It's not just any ordinary technique, it's two fundamentally different techniques, one close combat technique, the other a spirit weapon technique. The further you go, the bigger the difference. When you create the first part, you can still learn from each other. For the second part, it's still effective. By the time you reach the third part, it's extremely weak. The fourth part has no effect at all. The fifth part will instead slow down your creation of both techniques. The sixth part will become very difficult. The seventh part also represents the techniques of the Universe Lord. I'm afraid you won't be able to create it." "Ah." Luo Feng revealed a look of shock. Multitasking, having two techniques in your heart at the same time, at the start they can still assist each other, but towards the end they will affect each other, making it incredibly hard for you to even create another technique. You think the strong are afraid of wasting more time? Wrong, the strong have eternal life. Spending twice the amount of time is nothing. What they are afraid of is splitting their attention and never having the chance to reach the pinnacle. The Primal Chaos City Leader said, "Are you still persevering with your thoughts?" Luo Feng nodded, "Persevering?" "Then continue persevering, you still have the right to make mistakes." A voice resounded from within the endless energy currents, "I hope you won't be like this when you reach the fourth part." Luo Feng only bowed, not making a sound. "Go. Use your achievements to prove yourself right." A voice resounded from within the endless energy currents. "Yes, teacher." Luo Feng bowed, thinking within he would definitely use his achievements to prove himself. So, Luo Feng vanished from mid-air, his consciousness returning to reality. Eastern Ice Prison, deep within the snow caves. Over 2,000 years, Luo Feng had been sitting crossed-legged within the room. Finally, he opened his eyes. "Teacher Primal Chaos City Leader, just watch." Because of his teacher's words before, Luo Feng didn't have the joy of creating an absolute technique. All he had was battle intent, a battle intent to fight. "If I'm wrong, I'll have to use reality to prove it to me." Luo Feng left the cave and arrived 10,000 kilometers above in the snow. On the snow, Luo Feng walked step by step. Universe Lords are the pinnacle of beings in the universe. However, there are still differences in strength. The strong ones are like the Primal Chaos City Leader teacher, the middle ones are like Second Senior Flame Emperor, the low ones are like Puti. Of course, they are all beings that trillions of races look up to. However, obviously, even though Flame Emperor has two treasures, he doesn't have a treasure like the Star Tower. Just like Puti's treasure, he probably doesn't even compare to Second Senior. The Star Tower has caused the four pinnacle races to fight intensely. Just its own strength alone is enough to stand tall in the space of the alien battlefield. No one can shake it. Every moment it consumes energy to maintain it, causing the 9-spiral nebula. That whirlpool can easily destroy a universe knight. Absolute treasure. Luo Feng nodded. Back then Mountain Passenger said that when Luo Feng became a universe knight and gathered the last piece of the 9-level secret manual, he would be very close to activating the entire Star Tower. And he also said, as long as Luo Feng could activate the Star Tower, he would have the power to speak equally with the Universe Lords. Also, I relied on the Star Tower to speak equally with the Universe Lords when I was a knight. Luo Feng thought, since that's the case, I can't let down such a treasure. This is a true treasure that even the strongest warriors in the universe covet. Just taking out a random part is a star map. Just a random part of the control core is a soul treasure. Taking out the pearl, the 10,000 stars, to the Star Tower, it was just a drop in the ocean. One could see the power of the Star Tower. The more he thought about it, Luo Feng felt that his spirit reader path wasn't wrong. And my teacher said that a fighter and spirit reader dual training is impossible to succeed in creating the seventh form. Luo Feng shook his head. Back then my teacher also said that no human has ever trained in the beast god path to become a universe lord. I think it's the other races in the universe that have done it. However, it's obviously a rare case. A rare case, how can it represent everything? I'm afraid my teacher was just trying to convince me and exaggerated. Luo Feng thought. On the snowy ground, Luo Feng silently walked step by step. His thoughts were complicated. Obviously the Primal Chaos City Leader's words from before had affected him. Even though he didn't waver in front of his teacher and his heart was indeed resolute, it was undeniable. The Primal Chaos City Leader was one of the top 3 beings of humanity. His words had a huge impact on Luo Feng, hence he couldn't help but think over and over again, becoming more resolute. The reason why he was so resolute was because he believed in himself and because Mountain Passenger was stronger than the Primal Chaos City Lord. Luo Feng wasn't blind. If it wasn't for the Mountain Passenger, Luo Feng would have hesitated for a long time because of the Primal Chaos City Leader's words. On the peak of an undulating ice mountain, an inconspicuous figure was hidden behind the ice. His eyes were looking into the void in the distance, and he could clearly see hundreds of millions of kilometers away with a single glance. What's that? The blurry figure paused for a moment, and then suddenly dashed out. In a flash, it was already tens of millions of kilometers away in the snow. The figure condensed, it was a metallic life form, its entire body gleaming with a dull metallic luster. His eyes were like rubies, his body was hunched over, almost like a leopard that was bending over and standing. He was currently staring at a footprint in the snow. This footprint? I've never seen it before. Hunching over, he carefully examined it. As he examined it, his ruby eyes gleamed. Don't tell me, if it's really him then I've really hit the jackpot. So, he immediately flew into the air and looked down, discovering another footprint 1,000 kilometers away. Following the direction of the footprints, he began to teleport short distances again and again as he rapidly chased after them. After teleporting dozens of times, when he appeared in midair again, he saw a figure walking on the snowy ground in the distance. The figure was not anxious at all and was just walking, each step covering thousands of kilometers. Ha! It's really a human. The metallic life's ruby eyes gleamed, extremely excited. No other warriors have discovered me, that's great, ha! I finally don't have to live such fearful days anymore. Oh! He immediately rushed down towards Luo Feng. Luo Feng walked on the snow, fiercely turning to look behind him. In the distance in midair, there was a silhouette rushing down. Luo Feng could see with one glance that the person was hunched over. He was about 2 m tall, his entire body gleaming with a dull gold color, and his ruby eyes. Its rank 626 metallic Ka-Tua. In the ice prison the strong slaughtered each other. If one wasn't on good terms with them, normally they wouldn't even dare get close. Just like how the weak wouldn't dare get close to the 10 emperors, if they got close and got killed they could only blame themselves. A rank 626 punk dares to challenge me. Luo Feng extended his left hand, 52 black balls appeared in his palm. I've just created this second form, I'll let you have a taste. The second form was incredibly complex. Its power was extremely strong too, just the origin law engravings alone required a total of 52 stars to be able to completely carry it. Rumble? The 52 stars in midair began to cause countless golden threads to appear, and instantly, a dazzling beast god over 1,000 meters tall appeared in midair. This beast god's entire body was solid, and all of its scales could be seen clearly. Of course, the aura of the beast god's long, scaled tail was the most powerful. Moreover, the scales on the other parts of the beast god's body seemed to be covered in a layer of dust, while the scales on its tail seemed brand new, emanating a mysterious aura of the laws. A tyrannical aura emanated. Just the beast god appearing in midair, that tyrannical aura caused the space within a 1 million kilometers area to tremble. Part of it was because of the 52 stars in the star map, part of it was a powerful absolute art, and also part of it was because the beast god's conception had grown stronger over the past 2,000 years. The three combined. Its power was indeed tyrannical beyond belief. Wow. Ka-Tua, who was so excited that he was about to go crazy, was instantly scared out of his wits. He immediately teleported to a place hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. At the same time he said, "Human, I have no ill intentions. I came here on behalf of the master of the southern icy hell, Heavenly Wolf." Luo Feng stood in the snow, in mid-air floated the tyrannical beast god. Luo Feng looked satisfactorily at the beast god. The reason why he unleashed this move upon seeing this little pawn, was actually because he hadn't unleashed it in real life, hence he was itching to use it. From the looks of it, its power was indeed very strong. Sky Wolf. Luo Feng looked at the distant metal warrior, after which he waved with his left hand. The beast god in mid-air immediately dispersed. The 52 stars swiftly descended from above, entering his palm and disappearing. Only then did the distant metal warrior carefully fly over, simultaneously smiling respectfully, flipping his hand and taking out an ice ranking tablet. "Lord Human, take a look and you'll know." Ranking. Luo Feng glanced over and saw the ice ranking tablet clearly. He also saw Sky Wolf's oath to all the warriors in the ice hell. He also saw that he was ranked 6. Why is Sky Wolf in such a rush to find me? And he even publicly swore that he wouldn't kill me. I'll go take a look. Luo Feng thought for a while and decided. Let's go, bring me there. Luo Feng looked at the metal warrior. The stooped metal Ka-Tua was immediately overjoyed. He said happily, Lord Human, I was lucky to be the first to meet you. I'll bring you to the Southern Ice Hell Leader's palace right now. Bringing Luo Feng with a teleportation, they disappeared from the Eastern Ice Hell, arriving at the Southern Ice Hell. Luo Feng looked at the distant majestic palace on the snow ground, and the countless ice ranking tablets around it. Lord Human, I don't dare to teleport directly into the palace, let's fly over. Katua said. Let's go. Luo Feng nodded. Two beams of light broke through the sky and flew towards the palace, immediately attracting the attention of the two servants at the entrance. Sky Wolf placed a total of 7 servants in the palace, 5 of them were brought in from the outside world back then, they usually did some small things for him. And the other 2 were always in charge of guarding the palace. They were the 2 warriors Sky Wolf killed in the Ice Hell, heavily injured to the point of almost falling into a deep sleep, and then his soul controlled them. Who dares to trespass into the Southern Ice Hell Leader's palace? The 2 Emperor servants saw the 2 beams of light and immediately shouted, their voices rumbling. That's. They took a closer look. Human. It's actually a human. They recognized him and couldn't help but to exchange glances. Their master really wanted to see a human. I'm here to bring Lord Human. Katua smiled as he landed. So it's Katua, you're quite lucky, you'll receive Master's eternal protection. One of the servants said, Human, Master has waited for you for over 2,000 years. Follow me. Metal Katua, come with us. The servant brought Luo Feng and Katua into the palace. Luo Feng observed everything. When he entered the palace, he immediately saw the huge beast silhouette sitting on the huge throne in the majestic palace. The demon Imperial Sirius that was over 10 kilometers long was sitting on it. Of course, in terms of size, comparing Sky Wolf to the golden horn beast was like comparing a mouse to an elephant. Human. Sky Wolf's jade eyes were already opened, gazing below. Sky Wolf. Luo Feng looked at Sky Wolf, smiling. You're in such a rush to find me, even making such an oath to all the warriors in the Ice Hell. I wonder what's the matter. Of course there's a matter. Sky Wolf's jade eyes turned to look at Katua. Katua's body bowed even more, appearing very respectful. Sky Wolf said slowly, Katua, you found the human and brought him here? Yes. Katua said. Good, from today on you'll live around the palace, no warrior will dare touch you. Sky Wolf said slowly. Yes. Thank you, Lord Sky Wolf. Katua was extremely excited, his body slightly trembling. He, who was ranked around 600, was definitely one of the weakest in the Ice Hell. He lived in fear for so long, knowing that he would receive Sky Wolf's protection if he found the human, he often went looking for him. Go. Sky Wolf didn't want to talk too much with Katua. Katua bowed respectfully, and then he was filled with joy, even bowing to Luo Feng to thank him before leaving the palace. Luo Feng sighed to himself at the tragedy of the weak in the Ice Hell. Rumble, the palace's gate also rumbled as it closed. The gate is closed, the other warriors have left. Other than you, I'm your servant. Whatever you want, you can say it now. Luo Feng looked at Sky Wolf, who was sitting on the throne. On the ice throne, Sirius gazed down at Luo Feng, his eyes gleaming with a smile. He let out a voice that resounded throughout the majestic palace. Human, I invited you here, you should have guessed it too. I wish to purchase an anonymous virtual universe sensor. You should understand how much I, who has been locked up in the ice prison for countless years, want to interact with the outside world. You are a demon, I am a human. Luo Feng looked up at Sirius. Sirius, you should know, our 2 races are enemies, the virtual universe rejects your demon's consciousness. Even if you have the anonymous sensor, you still won't be able to enter the virtual universe. Different races, there was a fundamental difference in soul consciousness. The virtual universe was humanity's virtual universe. Demon, bug, automaton and many other races, many wanted to borrow the virtual universe to send messages, however as long as they were enemies with humanity, many of them couldn't even connect to the virtual universe. As for the other races that weren't enemies with humanity, even though they could use the virtual universe, their authority would be restricted, and they would be monitored. Like the silver-eyed special life forms, their authority would at most be restricted but they could still use it. I understand. Sirius's jade eyes looked at Luo Feng. However, you should know, even though I have no way, my servants have a way. Amongst my servants, there are still 2 that are friendly with humanity, they have the right to enter the virtual universe. What about your sensor from before? Luo Feng asked. These crafty foreign races would think of ways to make use of humanity's virtual universe. After all, the virtual universe was simply too useful. Therefore, they would usually get an anonymous account sensor. There was a small mistake, it was discovered by the virtual universe system, and its authority was sealed. Sirius said. No wonder. Luo Feng laughed. Even if they secretly thought of ways to control the human servants or the foreign race servants in the Great Alliance, the virtual universe system's surveillance was extremely powerful. Even if they were to discover any clues, no matter how deep they hid, the moment they were discovered, the controlled servant would no longer have the right to connect to the virtual universe, and the sensor's authority would be sealed too. They could even follow the clues to the virtual universes. Coordinates and directly capture them. The number of foreign race spies captured and killed was uncountable. However, the other 5 great races still tirelessly used the virtual universe to secretly build all sorts of information networks. I don't have an anonymous account sensor. Luo Feng shook his head. You can fool the other alien races with this kind of lie, but our Yao race has been fighting against your human race for countless years. How could we not know? On the ice throne, Sirius's green eyes stared at Luo Feng. A simple sensor with the AI you carry with you, you can easily create one. The important thing is that the sensor has the authority to connect. And with your identity, you can easily apply for an anonymous account in the virtual universe. Sirius gazed at Luo Feng. Don't worry, I won't make things difficult for you. You too know the other alien races in the virtual universe have countless spy and information systems. Even though many have been discovered and destroyed, many of the information lines have been destroyed, and the losses are huge, many of the alien races are still secretly building their own intelligence systems. Sky Wolf looked at Luo Feng. With so many spies, one more wouldn't make a difference, right? Luo Feng stood below the throne and listened, staring at him. You want to contact the demon race? Oh. They faced each other from afar. Ha, there's no point in hiding it. Of course you can guess it. Right, I want to go out. Sirius said, even though I don't have much confidence in the information network I know from countless years ago, I still want to give it a try. I want to go out. You think I'll help you, alien race? Luo Feng said. It's not help, it's a trade. Sirius said, an anonymous account in the virtual universe, if it's outside it's too easy to get one. Hence, selling an account to me isn't a crime at all. You didn't even help me spread the news. You only sold one account. There are countless accounts being sold in the human world every day. Some of them are secretly bought by the alien races. Luo Feng looked at him. What Sirius said was right. Selling accounts was indeed a very common thing. Of course I won't let you lose out. Sirius said, I'm willing to use a treasure to exchange with you. Treasure? Luo Feng frowned and looked at Sirius. What a huge deal. Sirius raised his claw slightly and a completely black stone rod floated. The two ends of the rod had beautiful carvings on them. It looked more like a work of art than a weapon. However, the energy emitted from the entire rod reverberated throughout the entire palace. A treasure to exchange for an anonymous sensor. Sirius looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng was silent. Human world, you can buy as many of these sensors as you want. You're only selling one. Sirius said, you and I are both trapped in this ice prison. My only wish is to leave it. What's more, I'm just an emperor-level undying. Even if I leave, I won't be a threat to you humans. Not even mentioning an emperor-level undying, even a universe knight between the two pinnacle races of humanity and demon race. They wouldn't be a threat at all. Not selling. Luo Feng shook his head. You're not even selling a single treasure? Sirius suddenly stood up. His aura exploded. The other 5 servants in the palace stared angrily at Luo Feng. Luo Feng looked at Sirius and shook his head. Not selling. Luo Feng's thoughts weren't rigid. Selling one sensor was actually a small matter. Moreover, in the universe, there were quite a few alien races that temporarily cooperated with each other due to special circumstances. Luo Feng didn't really mind selling one sensor. However, that depended on the price. One treasure? Not enough. Though. I'll give you one of the treasures I use myself. Sirius roared and stared angrily at Luo Feng. 2 treasures for an incredibly cheap sensor account outside. This is the biggest price I can afford. Human, you should be satisfied. Even in a universe secret region, who would be able to get 2 treasures so easily? Luo Feng looked up at the raging Sirius and said softly, not selling. Not selling? Sirius was shocked. Don't you know this is a treasure? There are only so many treasures in the entire ice prison. Even me, Silver Eye, and the others only have 2 to 3 treasures each. I have a total of 3. I only have the most important one, the most suitable one. As for the other 2, one of them was used by me. I gave them to you, but you actually... Sirius roared, don't go too far. The price is about right. These 2 treasures are enough to hire your human universe paragons to kill your human powerhouses. Some unnecessary things have a price. It's not like I'm asking you to betray humanity. I'm just selling one sensor. I'll ask you one more time. Are you going to sell the sensor or not? Luo Feng looked at him and shook his head. Not selling. Sirius's jade eyes were immediately filled with madness. Rumble. The energy in the palace suddenly intensified. Sirius immediately vanished from the ice throne. Luo Feng too spread his silver wings and became a beam of light. Simultaneously 52 black balls appeared in his palm. Howl. Sirius immediately appeared where Luo Feng was. His 4 hooves slightly bent, his jade eyes filled with killing intent as he stared at Luo Feng. Luo Feng stood in the distance holding the 52 floating black balls. Looking at him, he said softly, Sirius, didn't you swear to all the warriors in ice prison that you wouldn't make a move and kill? Humph, breaking an oath depends on whether it's worth it or not. You despicable human, cutting off my hopes of leaving. Tell me, should I kill you? Sirius roared softly from his throat. Revealing his fangs, the 3 peculiar blade scars on his forehead writhed as he stared hard at Luo Feng. Ah, that's right. However, Sirius, you should know that if you kill me, you won't be able to get access to those anonymous accounts and sensors. Without my permission, even if you get access to my world ring, you won't be able to connect. Luo Feng looked at the 52 black balls in his palm. What's more, you can't kill me. Even Silver Eye, who specializes in time laws, can't kill me. You specialize in space laws. In terms of speed, I'm faster than you. How will you kill me? Luo Feng stared at Sirius. Sirius's killing intent soared. Luo Feng faced him coldly. The 2 of them stared at each other from afar. Good. Sirius said solemnly. You're so strong, your position in the human race must be extremely high. Acquiring treasures in the outside world is much easier than in the ice prison. 2 treasures, it wouldn't be weird if you weren't moved. Alright. I'll give you the most important treasure of Sirius. I'll use this treasure to exchange with you. Ah. Luo Feng was shocked within. Sirius had even more valuable treasures? I won't give you the other two treasures. I'll just take this one. Sirius stared hard at Luo Feng. I've acquired it, that's also fate and luck. Such a treasure, even the knights of the universe would fight over it. I was in the ice prison, killing a weak foreign race and found it by chance. What treasure, making it sound so mysterious? Don't tell me it's a legendary treasure? Luo Feng sneered. I don't believe it. Of course it's not a treasure. The legendary treasures are things that even the knights of the universe would go crazy for. Even though this one of mine isn't a treasure, it's still much more valuable. Sirius's right claw lifted up slightly. An item appeared on it. It was a six-edged stone the size of a human's palm. On the stone, there was a peculiar beast standing and roaring. Luo Feng glanced at the ferocious beast carving on the stone and his heart skipped a beat. He had seen many peculiar beasts before. Like the 9 universe tablets beast pictures like the beast god. And this roaring beast gave Luo Feng a special feeling. What is this? A normal stone tablet. It doesn't even have any strong energy. At most, it's a little special. How can it be considered a treasure? Luo Feng sneered. Just enter it with your consciousness and you'll know. Sirius stared at Luo Feng. This is the universe's largest power Ancestral God Sect's inheritance tablet. Naturally it's much more valuable than a treasure.